should have known something was wrong the night I dreamed of drowning in rose petals. They weren't soft or romantic. They were heavy, suffocating. I couldn't scream. I just sank deeper and deeper into a blood-colored ocean of blossoms. When I finally woke up, gasping and tangled in my sweat-soaked sheets, he was already gone. Again. Jasper always said he needed time alone to align with Source in the mornings. No phone, no talking. Just him, his herbal tea, his crystals, and his morning rituals. I respected that at first. We met at a full moon cacao ceremony, for fuck's sake. He had a man bun, a white linen shirt open to the navel, and a tiny tattoo of the Ankh symbol just below his left collarbone. He smelled like sandalwood and said things like, "Your aura made me look twice." I mean, how could I not fall? Back then, everything felt like destiny. We'd pull the same tarot card without looking. Our playlists synced. I got a sharp pain in my stomach the day his dad had a heart attack before he even told me. Jasper said we were twin flames, not just soulmates. Twin flames, two halves of the same soul, finally reunited after lifetimes apart. But lately, something been off. For starters, he flinches when I touch his phone. He says the radiation scrambles his energetic field, but he never seemed to mind when he needed it to book his shamanic integration calls. Then there are the disappearing nights. First it was one, then two, then whole weekends where he'd go off-grid to detox the matrix. But no details, no photos, just vanishing, then reappearing with sunburned cheeks, a deeper tan, and a vague smile. The first twist came during a reading with a new psychic. I didn't even plan to go. My usual reader, Madame Ilya, had moved to Costa Rica. I found this new one, Lunaria, on a community board at the co-op. She lived in a camper van parked on a eucalyptus hill just outside town. No makeup, eyes like smoke. Her voice was soft, like leaves rustling on a quiet morning, but her words cut deep. Before I even shuffled the deck, she said, "Your partner's energy, it feels like karmic debt. Heavy, uneven. He's not here to love you. He's here to teach you something, then break you." I laughed, out loud, but she didn't. She just pulled a single card from the deck and slid it toward me like it was radioactive. "The Tower. You'll understand soon," she whispered. "Watch what happens under the next waning moon. It will reveal what's been hidden." I left in a fog. The eucalyptus trees looked like they were leaning toward me, whispering in a language I couldn't quite hear. That was 3 days ago. Last night I dreamed again. This time I wasn't drowning. I was walking through the woods barefoot. The sky was bleeding pink and violet. I could hear Jasper's voice ahead, laughing. But when I reached the clearing, he was with someone else. A woman. She was wrapped in a red scarf, her hands on his chest, whispering something that made him shiver. They kissed. Long, deep. I screamed, but no sound came out. When I woke, Jasper was beside me in bed, breathing steady, peaceful, like nothing was wrong. I almost convinced myself it was just my anxiety. I almost let it go. Until this morning. He said he was heading to the lake for a solitude immersion, but he left his phone behind, by mistake. I wasn't going to look. I swear I was. But it lit up while I was making tea. A text from someone named Red Serpent. "Last night was beyond the veil. I still feel your touch on my root chakra. When can we go deeper?" My hands shook. I opened the thread. There were dozens of messages, photos, her body draped in silk, candles, smoke, Jasper with her, half naked, grinning like I hadn't seen in months. He told her he felt seen for the first time. He told her she was the one activating his real ascension path. My tea spilled on the counter. I couldn't breathe. And then another message popped up, as if the universe wanted to make sure I really got it. "We'll tell her together soon. She's just karmic, babe. This was always meant." I stared at the screen, trying to swallow the rising panic. Then I heard the key turn in the front door. He was back. I wiped my face, trying to steady my breathing. He walked in, smiling like the world was fresh and clean. He leaned in to kiss me, but stopped. "Babe," he said softly, "your aura's different today." I didn't answer. Because in that moment, I knew something he didn't. I had his phone. And I had the tower. He reached for his phone instinctively, the way you check your keys before locking the door. When his hand hit the empty counter, his smile flickered. Just a millisecond. But I caught it. "Where's my phone?" he asked too casually. "Oh," I said, keeping my voice light, I found it earlier. Left it on the table by the altar. I figured you were purging attachments again. I watched his eyes, not his face, his eyes. They twitched ever so slightly. Right, he said, thanks. He moved toward the altar, slow and purposeful, like an actor trying to remember his next line. I leaned on the kitchen counter, pretending to sip tea I'd already spilled. Inside, my heartbeat was a jackhammer. The phone was no longer there. Because I had hidden it. Because I wasn't ready to give it back, not until I knew what the hell was real. He turned, empty-handed. You sure you left it there? Pretty sure, I lied, tilting my head. Weird, huh? He stared at me, just for a beat. Then he exhaled through his nose and walked past me into the bedroom. I followed. Did you go through it? He asked, just loud enough for me to hear from the other side of the room. Would that matter? I said. He turned. Yes, it would, because that's not trust Layla. He used my full name, not babe, not moonbeam, not goddess, Layla, and there was steel in it. I stepped closer. And telling another woman, I'm just your karmic lesson is trust. He went pale. Dead, pale. There it was, the second mask fell. He started, but I cut him off. I saw the photos, the texts, the bullshit chakra sex talk. Red Serpent? Are you serious right now, Jasper? Is that even her real name, or did she pull it out of a hat at Burning Man? He blinked twice, then, it's not what you think. Jesus, I laughed. Do you guys get handed a script at these retreats? Still no answer. Just that vague look spiritual men use when they're cornered, like they're meditating through your anger. I should have screamed, thrown something, cried. But I didn't. Instead, I reached into the drawer and pulled out the tarot deck he gave me for our anniversary, the one wrapped in purple silk that smelled faintly of patchouli and smugness. I unwrapped it slowly, dramatically. What are you doing? He asked. We're asking the cards, I said, since you trust them more than actual fucking communication. I shuffled, eyes locked on his. 3-card spread, classic past, present, future. I pulled. 1, the lovers. 2, the moon. 3, the 10 of swords. I laughed again, but it caught in my throat. He was pale now, really pale. You see this? I pointed. This is our beginning. Starry-eyed twin flame bliss, right? The lovers, then this, the moon, secrets, illusion, hidden truths, and finally. I held up the 3rd card. Betrayal, pain, rock bottom, 10 swords in the fucking back. He rubbed his eyes like he was trying to wake up from this dream now. I didn't mean to hurt you, he whispered. This wasn't how I. You called me karmic, I snapped. You said this wasn't real, just a lesson, a transaction. No, he said, stepping forward. You don't understand. You were meant to find out. This was part of the unfolding. Oh, fuck off with your unfolding, Jasper. But then he said something that stopped me cold. She told me you'd react this way. I froze. Who? He hesitated, then. Red Serpent, she's a seer. She said you'd pull the 10 of swords. She said your karmic arc would peak today, that the mirror would crack. I couldn't breathe. He kept going like he was possessed. She said this timeline is collapsing, and you're not meant to follow me into the next one. That if you stay, you'll block your evolution. You're leaving me for a timeline, I whispered. For her, he said, voice trembling. For us, for truth. There it was, the last of the mask, disintegrated. I should have walked out, should have thrown the deck at his feet and burned his crystals in the sink. But instead, I smiled. And pulled his phone from under the bed. Too bad your new oracle didn't predict this, I said. Then I held it up, already unlocked, already cued to the screenshots I had texted to myself and to someone else. To Lunaria. To the psychic. To see if what she told me had any real fucking truth. Because what I found in his phone wasn't just betrayal. It was ritual logs. Altars, names, dates, blood moons. And in one photo, hidden in a folder labeled initiation, was a candlelit room. With a mirror. And my face in it. Except I've never been there. And I was wearing red. You photoshopped this, I said. I wanted it to be a question, but my voice cracked halfway through the sentence. Jasper didn't deny it. He didn't even look surprised. Instead, he sat down slowly on the bed, folded his hands together, and closed his eyes like a monk preparing for execution. "You don't remember because you weren't supposed to," he said softly. "It was part of the separation phase." I stared at him. "What the fuck is the separation phase, Jasper?" He opened his eyes and smiled, serene, beatific, like he was giving me some holy gift. "It's when the soul forgets, so it can relearn from the wound." "Oh my God," I backed up, "you're in a cult." That made him laugh, not loud, not mocking, just sad, like I didn't get it, like I was the one brainwashed. "I thought the same thing when I first met her," he said. "Red Serpent, real name's Annika, but that doesn't matter anymore. She saw the karmic loop we were caught in. She broke it, Layla. She said you and I have been stuck in the same pattern for lifetimes. That this life, this one, is when I finally break free." I blinked hard, trying to stay in the moment, but everything felt like it was tilting. Like the floor had gone soft. Like I was falling again into those rose petals. "And the photo," I said. "How do you explain a photo of me in a room I've never been in?" He hesitated. "She called it a mirror ritual," he said. "It's meant to bring the energy of one soul into alignment with another through reflection. The image, it's not literal. It's vibrational." I laughed too loud. It bounced off the walls. "You took a fucking vibrational selfie with me." He stood then, moving toward me, palms open, voice low. "Layla, you're reacting from pain. I get it. I do. But if you just talk to her, just meet her, you'd understand. She's not trying to hurt you. She wants you to heal. She says you're carrying old lifetimes of grief in your root chakra. That's why your relationships always implode." I slapped him. Not hard, just enough to get him to stop. His cheek flushed immediately, but he didn't look angry. He looked relieved. "I knew it," he whispered. "That's the moment, that's your split." I stared at him like he'd grown horns. "Split from what?" "From the illusion," he said. I left. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't grab my journal or my oils or the rose quartz under my pillow. I walked out of our overpriced jungle-themed apartment barefoot and drove to Lunaria's van, shaking like I was detoxing from poison. She opened the door before I knocked. "I felt you coming," she said. I collapsed onto her patchwork couch, burying my face in my hands. "I saw something," I said. "In his phone, a photo of me in a room I've never been in." She nodded, the mirror ritual. My head shot up. "You know about this." Lunaria reached behind her seat and pulled out a leather-bound journal. The cover was stained with something dark and shiny, resin or blood, I couldn't tell. She flipped it open to a bookmarked page. "Look," she said. It was a sketch, crude but unmistakable. A woman in red, my face, standing in front of a mirror that reflected a different room entirely. "This was in one of my dreams," Lunaria said. "6 months ago, before I ever met you. I didn't know what it meant, just that someone was being used, pulled through, made a vessel." "A vessel," I whispered. She nodded solemnly. "Sometimes, in these mirror rites, the person on the other side is called in without consent. Their image becomes a sigil, a kind of energetic placeholder." "You mean he summoned me?" Lunaria didn't speak. She handed me a card from her deck instead. "The Hanged Man. Suspension, sacrifice, powerlessness. You've been hanging between worlds, Layla, but the cord is fraying. If you don't cut it, someone else will." I burst into tears. Not just because of the betrayal, but because some part of me, some buried primal part, recognized everything she was saying. Like I had been there in that mirror. Like I had felt something call me, months ago. The insomnia. The flashes of someone else's voice in my dreams. The feeling of being watched even in the bath. "Can I stop it?" I asked. "Whatever they're doing, can I undo it?" She took my hands in hers. "There's one thing," she said, "but you won't like it." "What?" "You have to return the debt." "What debt?" She stared at me hard. "The karma he cast off to ascend, he pushed it onto you." I felt sick. "So what? I give it back." She nodded. "How?" Her voice went cold. "You give him a lesson he won't forget." That night, I didn't go home. I drove to the lake, the one Jasper had said he'd gone to for his solitude immersion. I found the van. And I found them inside. Together. Eyes closed, chanting. Naked. covered in ash and flower petals, and sigils drawn in oil. They didn't hear me open the door. They didn't see the red scarf I pulled from the backseat. The one I saw in my dream. The one she had worn. I wrapped it slowly around my hands and stepped into the circle. "Mind if I join your little ritual?" I said. They froze. Their eyes snapped open. And for the first time, I saw fear on Jasper's face. Real human fear. Not enlightenment. Not ascension. Not awakening. Just fear. Because he knew. I remembered. I don't remember deciding to speak. The words just poured out of me like water through a broken dam. "You said I was your karmic debt," I whispered, stepping deeper into the circle. "Let's balance the fucking books." Annika, Red Serpent, scrambled to cover herself, grabbing a shawl embroidered with symbols I recognized from Jasper's journal. She looked younger than I expected, no older than me. Wide green eyes and a rawness in her face that made me hesitate for a second. But then I saw it, the smirk, just a flicker, like she wanted me to see her like this, like she fed off the chaos. "Layla," Jasper said, voice trembling, "this isn't what it looks like." "Stop," I said sharply. "No more script, no more soul contracts, just the truth." Silence. And then Annika smiled. "You were never meant to find this place," she said softly, almost tender. "But since you're here, maybe it's time you remembered who you really are." My skin crawled. "I know who I am," I snapped. "I'm the woman whose partner used spiritual bullshit to cheat on her with a girl who lives in a fucking yurt." Her laugh was delicate, musical, infuriating. "You're more than that," she said. "He chose you because you were open, because your soul wants to evolve. That's why you kept coming back to him, lifetime after lifetime. He hurt you before, Layla. Don't you feel it? Deep in your bones." I paused. Because yes, I did feel it. I'd had dreams I thought were nonsense, of fire, of drowning, of a man with Jasper's eyes dragging me away from temples I didn't recognize. I'd wake up with bruises on my thighs, whispers in my ears, heart racing with grief I couldn't name. But I'd chalked it up to trauma, to bad sleep, to anxiety. Not reincarnation. Not soul-binding rituals. But now, everything clicked into place like a cursed puzzle. Jasper spoke then. "I didn't mean to harm you," he said, "but I had to close the karmic cycle. I had to finish what I started. She helped me see that. She remembered who we were in the beginning." "The beginning of what?" I demanded. Annika stepped forward. "Of the priesthood, the order of Echo Flame. You and I were sisters once, bound by the mirror. He was a devotee, yours first. But then..." She glanced at Jasper. "He chose me." The world narrowed. "What the fuck are you talking about?" She pulled a necklace from beneath her shawl, a simple onyx pendant carved into the shape of a flame. Jasper had given me one just like it on our 1-year anniversary. He said it symbolized spiritual rebirth. "You said this was unique," I hissed at him. He looked away. "It is," Annika said, "only given to initiates, those chosen to carry the sacred wound." "What does that even mean?" I demanded. "It means," she said slowly, "that you've been here before, that you were never just his lesson. You were the fire that scorched him, and now he's trying to rewrite it." I shook my head. "This is insane. You're talking in riddles. None of this is real." Annika stared at me, then reached for a bowl on the floor. It was filled with oil, ashes, and flower petals. She dipped her fingers in and drew a single sigil on her own forehead, then one on Jasper's. Then she stepped forward and reached for me. I backed up. "Don't touch me." But her fingers never made contact. They hovered just an inch from my skin, and the air between us crackled. I gasped because something passed through me, something ancient, cold, familiar. And in that moment, a flash hit me so hard it knocked the breath from my lungs. A memory. A temple burning, I was screaming, my hands were bound. Jasper was holding a torch. Annika stood behind him chanting. My voice was raw with betrayal. They had taken something from me, a scroll, a vow. And then, they cast me into the flame. I staggered back, heart pounding like war drums. "You," I choked, "you burned me." Annika nodded slowly. "It was the only way. You were too powerful then, you wouldn't let go." My vision blurred. Jasper tried to move toward me, but I threw up my hand. Don't touch me. Layla, please. I remember everything now, I said. And this time, I won't be silent. I won't vanish. I won't sacrifice myself so you two can fuck your way into a higher dimension. Annika narrowed her eyes. Then what will you do? I smiled. Undo it. I pulled Lunaria's charm from my pocket, a small obsidian shard she'd given me that morning. She told me if I spoke the name of the wound aloud, it would break the mirror spell. Aziria, I whispered. The wind outside howled. The mirror behind them shattered, without being touched. Jasper fell to his knees. Annika screamed. And I felt it. The cord snap. Something lifted off my shoulders, off my chest, off my soul. Centuries of weight, gone in a single word. When I opened my eyes, they were both on the floor gasping, drained, lost. I stood over them and said, now you carry the debt. Then I turned and walked away. But as I stepped into the night air, a voice followed me. Whispered, soft and amused. You think it ends there. I froze. Because it wasn't Annika. And it was Jasper. It came from the mirror shards scattered across the floor. Reflected back was my own face. Smiling. But it wasn't me smiling. It was her. And she was still in there. For 3 nights, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, me smiling through the shards of that shattered mirror. Not a memory, not a dream, not imagination. A presence. Watching, waiting, smirking like she knew something I didn't. The psychic Lunaria said I had fractured my timeline. Some part of you, she explained, swirling a strand of smoke from her sandalwood pipe, is still trapped inside the echo. The karmic mirror doesn't just reflect, it copies. The version of you that burned never crossed over. I stared at her like she'd just handed me a curse. You mean I have what, spiritual twin stuck in a haunted mirror dimension? Not a twin, she corrected gently. A fragment. She was made in pain, betrayal, rage, and now that you've severed the ritual, she's free-floating, unanchored. And dangerous. Lunaria didn't answer. Just handed me a vial of what she called black salt from the dreamline, and told me not to sleep without casting a circle. I didn't tell anyone, not even my best friend Sam. How could I? Hey, remember Jasper, the tantric TikTok guy I was with for 2 years? Yeah, turns out he and his hot death witch girlfriend tried to trap my soul in a mirror to ascend to the 5th dimension. Yeah, that go over well. I tried to go back to work, tried to rejoin the normal world. I went to yoga, I made green juice. I journaled affirmations until my fingers cramped, but the veil had been pulled back and nothing felt real anymore. Especially not my own reflection. It started subtle. I'd catch myself blinking at odd times, only to realize the reflection hadn't blinked with me. Sometimes I'd turn away and still see myself in the mirror out of the corner of my eye. Once I looked into the bathroom mirror after a shower, and she winked. Not playful, not kind. Mocking. That was the night I finally snapped. I called Lunaria in a panic. I think she's trying to get out. There was silence on the other end. Then, she already has. What? She's already out. That's the nature of broken karmic containers. The soul tries to re-anchor itself. You're the original host. She'll want back in. No, my voice trembled. No, I banished her. I spoke the name, I broke the mirror. You broke one mirror, Lunaria said, but how many have you looked into since? Oh my God. Every mirror I'd passed in the gym, every reflective window, my fucking phone screen, all of them, portals. I need to trap her again, I said. I need to finish this. There's one way, she said, but it's dark. I don't care. She paused. You'll have to call her, not banish, not repel, invite. I swallowed hard. Why would I ever invite her? Because only then can you integrate the fragment. If you keep rejecting her, she'll find a way in through fear, through madness, through someone else. That word chilled me. Someone else. I remembered Annika, the way she smiled at Jasper, the way she knew me. What if it hadn't been Annika? What if the fragment had already used her? What if she was still looking for another host? I couldn't risk it. That night, I went to the temple ruins just outside town. Jasper had taken me there once when things were still good. He said it was where the veil between worlds felt thinnest. Now I understood why. I brought candles, obsidian, and the scarf from the ritual. I stood barefoot in the center of the mossy stone circle and whispered the invocation Lunaria gave me. Daughter of flame, child of shadow, come forward. The wind stopped. The forest went silent. And then I heard it. My voice. My exact voice. Behind me. You're late. I turned and there she was. Same face, same body, but different. Her eyes were brighter, too bright. Her smile too wide. Her hair loose and tangled like she just walked through a storm of nightmares. She walked in slow circles around me, barefoot like me, head tilted like a curious cat. Finally decided to stop pretending you're innocent, she purred. I'm not here to fight you, I said. I'm here to end this. End, she giggled. Oh, honey, there's no end, we are each other. No, you're the pain, the rage, the betrayal. You're the part that couldn't move on. And you think casting me out fixed that? She sneered. Please, you're still hurting, still haunted, still wondering why no one stays. I looked away. Because part of me believed her. She stepped closer. You banished me into silence, into fire. You let them throw us into that temple, remember? You begged Jasper to love you, even when he didn't. You knew he was lying, you felt it, and still you stayed. Tears burned down my cheeks. Because I loved him, I whispered. She leaned in, forehead almost touching mine. No, babe, she said, because you were afraid of being alone. The candles flickered. The circle trembled. And then I saw it, the flicker of something else inside her. The shadows behind the rage. Pain. Real pain. Abandonment. Grief. Shame. She wasn't trying to destroy me. She was trying to be seen. I'm sorry, I whispered. She blinked. I left you behind. I didn't know how to carry you. I thought if I could be pure, soft, he'd love me. But all I did was bury the part of me that fought back. That screamed. That survived. Her face changed. Just slightly. She looked tired. Old. Like she'd been holding onto centuries of heartbreak. I didn't want to hurt you, she said. I just didn't want to be forgotten again. I stepped forward and opened my arms. Then come back. She hesitated. Then nodded. And walked into me. Not literally, not with flash and thunder. She just stepped into the space where our breath met. And suddenly, I remembered everything. Every lifetime. Every betrayal. Every fire. And every time I rose from it. Not as someone's karmic lesson, but as my own fucking oracle. I collapsed to my knees. Breathing. Alive. Whole. But behind me, something stirred. Something still watching. Because the mirror may have broken. But the flame still burned. I didn't tell anyone what happened in the ruins. Who could I tell? There's no hotline for. I merged with a centuries-old fragment of my own betrayed soul and reclaimed my karmic sovereignty. But the change was real. I felt it in my bones. I felt it in how I moved through the world. I wasn't soft anymore. Not in the way that let people carve their names into me and call it love. Not in the way that waited for closure. I didn't block Jasper. I let him text. Let him call. Let him beg. Because I had one final card to play. You see, Jasper thought I was still spiraling, shattered, ungrounded. But integrating my shadow hadn't broken me. It made me clear. Clear enough to remember everything he said to Annika, everything they did. Including the recordings I found on his phone. Yeah, that's right. They weren't just doing mirror magic and chakra play. They were filming it. Ritual sex, blood rites, and not just of them. Of others. He was collecting energy, harvesting it. And worst of all, documenting it under the guise of research for his spiritual awakening course. I found his archive. Google Drive folder labeled Ascension Material, Private. It had faces. Names. People I knew from our old spiritual circles. Some of them looked drugged. Some of them looked scared. All of them had signed consent contracts he'd written himself, with legal-sounding fluff like, "I agree to be energetically bound in pursuit of fifth-dimensional awareness." But there was one file that stopped me cold. It was from the night I got food poisoning at our old retreat in Sedona. I'd passed out in the yurt, too dizzy to move, while Jasper promised to watch over me. The video showed me asleep, and Annika hovering over me, chanting, drawing something on my forehead. Then Jasper placing a mirror by my head and whispering, "She won't remember, the spell is holding." I dropped my phone. I actually threw up, because I realized I hadn't agreed to any of this. Not the rituals, not the soul binding, not the transformation. I was used, body and soul. And now I had proof. So I called him. He answered immediately. "Layla, oh my God, are you okay? I've been trying to." "I want to see you," I said. "One last time, no tricks, just closure." He fell for it. Of course he did. He suggested the same sacred grove where we had our first ceremony. Of course he did. And when I got there, he was already waiting. White linen shirt, freshly oiled beard, barefoot like always. I brought the scarf, the cards, and my phone. "Thank you for coming," he said. "No," I said, "thank you." He frowned. "For what?" "For walking into the trap." I pressed play. The video of Annika and him, the chanting, the mirror, my unconscious body. His face went pale. "Layla, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. "You used me, you violated me, spiritually, physically, and you tried to convince me it was all for my evolution." "It was," he shouted. "You grew from this, you found your power." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "You don't get to abuse people and call it alchemy, Jasper." His face twisted into something ugly. "You were always just the catalyst, she's the flame." "Then let's see how well you burn," I said. I held up the obsidian shard. "The psychic warned me," I said. "If you don't return what you took, your own energy will collapse in on itself." He laughed. "You think I'm afraid of your little rock?" "No," I said, smiling. "I think you're afraid of being seen." That's when I stepped aside. And from behind the trees, 3 women emerged. One of them holding a camcorder. One of them crying. All of them survivors. Women from our past retreats. Women who had been used by him under the guise of activation. Women who'd been too afraid or too ashamed to speak. Until now. I had sent them the videos, the contracts, everything. And I brought them here to see the man who said they were chosen for ascension. To show them the predator behind the poetry. Jasper backed up. "Layla, please," he whispered. "We can fix this, don't do this." "It's already done." And then, a wind rose. Hard and sudden. The candles blew out. The mirror I had placed in the center of the grove shattered, all on its own. He screamed. Actually screamed. Fell to his knees, covering his ears, eyes rolling back like something had snapped inside. And in that moment, I saw the truth. She was inside him now. The fragment. The one who had been cast into the flames. She had found a new vessel. And she was done being passive. His body writhed, convulsed. One of the women screamed. I stood there, calm. Because I understood now. I hadn't summoned her. She had chosen him. As the lesson. The consequence. The karmic debt finally returned. And when he finally collapsed, still breathing but hollowed out, like something had walked through him, I whispered. "You wanted to transcend, Jasper. Congratulations. You've ascended into your own nightmare." I turned to the women. "It's over now," I said. But I was lying. Because when I looked down at the mirror shards, I saw one final reflection. My face. Smiling. Again. But this time, it was me. And I liked what I saw. A month later, Jasper's name went viral. It started with a thread on Reddit, Our Spiritual Abuse Survivors. Someone posted screenshots of his ascension material, private folder. The thread exploded overnight. Women came forward. Some had been to his retreats. Some had paid thousands for Kundalini awakenings that left them shaking with trauma instead of light. I didn't have to post anything. The others did it for me. The women I had met in the Grove, Mina, Aliza, Claire, each told their story. Each one confirmed the rituals, the manipulation, the cosmic contracts that were nothing more than psychological blackmail dressed in moonwater and incense. By the end of the week, his entire coaching platform was shut down, his videos deleted, his YouTube comments flooded with snake emojis and consent is not cosmic. But Jasper, he disappeared, vanished off social media, no longer responding to texts, emails, even calls from former clients demanding refunds. I heard whispers, through Lunaria, through others still in the spiritual underground, that he was hiding somewhere in Arizona, that Annika had gone off-grid, that something about his energy felt wrong now, fragmented, like he was unraveling. And part of me felt nothing. No victory. No rage. Just quiet. Like a spell had broken, not just for me, but for everyone he'd touched. I didn't return to my old life. Because it didn't fit anymore. I left my apartment. Took only what I needed. I started renting a cabin near the coast. No mirrors, no signal, just mist and silence and the sound of my own breath finally syncing with something real. I lit candles only when I wanted to, not to summon or banish, but to feel. I still had the scarf, the one from the ritual. I burned it the night of the lunar eclipse, watched the fabric curl into ash like memory turning to dust. And I kept the cards. Because the tarot, I realized, had never betrayed me. People did. The cards only ever told the truth. If you had the guts to see it. One day, I pulled a 3-card spread again. This time, not in panic, but in peace. 1, death. Not an ending, just a change. A shedding, the shedding of belief, of illusion, of false light. 2, the High Priestess. Intuition, secrets revealed, the wisdom within. 3, the Star. Hope, rebirth, light after the dark. I smiled. Because for the first time, the cards weren't warnings. They were mirrors. Not of what was coming, but of who I had become. And then came the knock. Soft. Measured. It was dusk, the sky pink and bruised like it was healing from a fight. I opened the door, expecting a neighbor. But no one was there. Only a box. Wrapped in red silk. No note. No sender. Just weight. Inside. A single mirror shard. Polished. Cold. And carved on the back, in letters too familiar to be coincidence. The flame returns, be ready. I dropped it, hard it didn't break. Of course it didn't. Because some debts don't disappear. They change form. And some flames don't burn out. They wait. And watch. And when the next seeker whispers their desperate prayer to the moon, begging to find their twin flame, I hope they know. Sometimes that fire is you. And sometimes it burns to free you. But sometimes it just wants to watch you burn.